We are live now.
Yep.
Let me just share the live link with team. 1 second. So we okay, guys. Welcome for the third time to the finally the live stream that we're doing. So we have
Finally.
Yawar and Matuf. Yawar is the author of The Whispers of Hope that just released in July. Matuf is the author of CRA and two other books that are yet to come out. And CRA is a bit kind of vintage now. In modern days,
In a bad.
2 3 years become vintage. 3 months is good, right? Um, and so we are having this chat for two purposes. One, that Yawar is a like a full-headed poet, and Mathup is like a complete novelist. His his poetry is also like a story, like a fiction, or like a tale. And Yavar's tale is also like a poem. His story is also like written in poetry format, right? Plus, we understand that Matuf has been there for a while, and he's recently picked up this whole art of facing the camera and becoming very candid there with people, with strangers. Yavar is yet to sort of get there, but I feel that as publisher, as a writer, I think today it's very important to be able to do that and have that kind of art or that confidence. And so I'm hopeful that Yav will have a lot of questions for Matu. Matu will have a lot of insights. But more importantly, we want to make this a fun chat between a poet and a novelist and see how different or how same these two people are. Two kinds of people are, right? So that's the objective. So what do you guys? Maybe Yavur, maybe you can start, and yeah.
So I just like to say,
Louder,
I like
louder,
to say,
louder, louder.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a verse by Iqbal. He says, हजारों ख्वाहिशें ऐसी कि हर ख्वाहिश पे दम निकले निकले मेरे no it's by Ghalib I guess निकले मेरे अरमा मगर फिर भी कम निकले. So there is nothing complete, nothing is absolute. It's all
Yeah.
relative.
Yeah.
Everything is relative. So is my book. So is Matuf. So is everything that's happening.
Yava, what you can do is probably you can come closer to the screen. Is that possible for you? Because
Yeah,
the voice is very faint, right? Madhu, can you hear him loud and clear?
It's a little low, but I think
Yeah.
it's just me. Hmm.
Because I think I have all my volumes on the
Hmm.
highest level here. So
can you hear me now?
yeah. All right. Okay, great. So yeah, that was something from Ghalib.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
it's all relative, in the sense that if somebody is happy, somebody is going to be sad. If somebody has
Absolutely.
released a book, somebody is going to read it, right?
Yeah.
So it's that way. So it's been a
That's well
it's
said.
it's
If somebody releases the book, somebody has to read it.
exactly, yeah. Somebody
Mm.
will read it because it's there. Somebody is going to read it. It is going to
Right.
happen. I'm a believer of that sort. But let's see what happens. I think it's a fun experience. Like some of my books have been sold, some quote. So, but I'm not really. It's like people who are reading my book, they're liking it, and some of them they do understand what I've written it for. So it's a good thing. It's a new experience for me. I never thought I'd write a book. I used to write phrases. I used to write quotes. I still write quotes.
So I
But
think just to give Matu for perspective, obviously you have not read his book yet, but I'm sure you will be reading it after this chat. Same for Yavar as well. But so what attracted me to Yavar's writing was that it was not like a generic poem. It wasn't about love. It was not about romance. It's about everything else. Everything else that
Hmm.
actually matters.
Hmm.
So that is what I thought was very unique, considering that Yavr is writing at in an era where everybody is a poet, everybody is a writer, and they're all writing about everything that is very minuscule, from a mankind point of view, right? but Yawar made sure to collect all his learnings, from his childhood to his adulthood, and then put them in a format of a poem, and
Hmm.
at the same time rhyme them also. So even if his poems are adult, they're still rhyming very well. I mean, I'm sure we'll get to a part where he can read out something, read out one of his favorite poems, maybe. Then you will know what I'm talking about. But that is what that attracted me, and I'm able to relate this. Why? Because the same thing happened when I started reading your work. So, you are getting in touch with poets and writers all the time, right? But there are very few who sort of stand out, who have a very different
Hmm.
take on what they're writing about, right?
Hmm.
So, I see in Mathu's writing, I always saw that, a writer writes about a writer in which the writer writes about the writer. It's like Inception at the whole new author level, right? So,
Dude, you just
that's why
cracked the code for me. You just cracked the code for me in that one sentence.
So, I've always seen the connect between you two guys, and that's why I was very keen on having this. Um, yeah, so just to give Matuf an idea where where all this came about from. So,
Hmm.
yeah, what do you have to say?
I really like the part where you say that through his poetry, he's been trying to bring out his life experiences. I think one of those important things that I actually try with my stories as well is that I'm not giving a very generalized idea of a particular subject, because I have never considered myself to be the authority to talk about things as a general form,
Right.
but about how it seems from my eyes.
Hmm.
And I think that is what even probably you are trying to bring out across through your experiences,
Right.
away from love, but everything else
Hmm.
you are trying to bring it out in your eyes, how it seems like to you.
Right.
And for that, uh, one of the best things a person needs to be is like really be close to themselves, give that
Right.
time to reflect upon everything that is going on, introspecting, and that is really commendable in a manner where you are being expressive about your self reflections on the piece of paper. And like you mentioned, that it is very rhythmic, there is rhyming to his stories. Many people stop doing that in the middle
Right.
because the entire, I mean, people have started publishing poetry books in a manner where it is not very rhythmic. I mean, at least I can talk about this in a manner which is how it's being shared on public platforms. Getting back to the classic way of narration, where is rhyming, it is again more of a refreshment. And rather than what everybody has been doing. And I'm really looking forward to know more about the things that you're trying to bring out apart from love and the things that are going on with you, because I'm a guy who writes about romance
Yeah.
in whichever
No, nothing
manner it
against
is.
romance, okay? Nothing against
I
romance.
know, I know,
Romance,
I know.
but
I mean,
it's just people are writing so much about romance, and I think I have very little of it left now, anyways.
hmm,
So, so but that's fine. It's just a joke. So I just wrote what's
hmm,
in my heart, and it wasn't about romance particularly because everybody is writing about it, and I wanted to write whatever I feel, minus the romance in my life. So that's how it came, and that's how the real thing of life, the real basis of life, the stages of life, of my life at least. And then I think other people can relate with me, or if they can't, it depends on them. But I think some of them would do because we all have a general kind of tendency towards thinking, and and that's how it's all about my life basically, the phases that come in my life. So I've tried to end it, but I don't know if there are any more phases left that I'll put or write, or I will not write. And that's yet to be seen. But Matu, you tell me about your book. Like, mine we're talking a lot about my book. I think we should know about yours, because I never asked you what your book is about.
uh, Sierra, it came to me in a period where there was a kind of a desperation, as a writer who has just aspire to become one out of no background of writing, come and you're constantly at it for a span of 2.5, 3 years without having a concrete thing to show it to anybody, your immediate circle. So it was more of a desperation. And through Sierra, the idea was to bring out whatever experiences I had up until that point in whichever manner I felt was fit. Because fiction for me is nothing but exaggerated form of reality. And it is up to you how hard you go on it. Either you go on a grand scale of exaggeration, or you keep it down to the point where it is as real as it gets. So me having battled alcoholism for for a good span of 8 to 10 years, and me getting exposed to substances, I thought maybe everybody is talking about this in a very negative manner, whereas I want to bring it out in a manner of hope that once you get down into it, there is always a next chapter which is better than this one. So, yes, that was the intention, and there was a romance that was playing in my mind. So compiling all of that comes Sierra, where I just try to talk to my reader, because there has been this experience of mine where I have tried to narrate a story, and वो बोलते हैं ना कि जब भी वो कहानी में मेरी आवाज नहीं मुझे खुद सुनाई दे रही हो, तो वो मेरे लिए कहानी वो जायज है नहीं. So I want to give it my voice. I'm not making a reader read the book. I'm narrating the book to my reader, which becomes a one-on-one interaction between the author and the reader. And by far, that is the reason why I try to write about these concepts, which I'm very comfortable now expressing talking about. And these books keep on happening in different phases. Like currently you wrote your poetry book. It might be with a certain idea where, hey, my best friend tuned in. So your current book with might be with an idea of the experiences you gathered up till now. अभी आगे जाके और experiences आएंगे, और नई किताबें आएंगी. And I think Sanchit knows this very well. I go out of my way to experience things, and then I come back, sit down on screen, and put it down altogether.
These are all experiences that you've had, and then you write, because I think without experiences, without feelings, you can't write. See, writing
Exactly.
is an art, no doubt. You know, the expression forming thing is an art, but you have to feel. You have to feel to be a writer. If you can't feel, you can't think. And if you can't think, how can you write? This
Of
is
course.
my perception of writing.
Because when you are battling yourself in this back and forth, story तो अलग ही हो जाती है. Stories become a very different entity altogether. Whereas during this back and forth, you become more clear about the person you exactly are, because you are. I I don't know if I've ever written this in a book, but there was this one journal in which I scribbled this in which I said that I have become so close to myself than you could ever be to me in this 1 decade of time. That is what writing does to you. You become so close to yourself. Your emotions are magnified, and you're battling with the page, and yes, it all comes down. So in a manner, it is really true that whatever's there on paper is just a reflection of your thoughts. Like the short story that I was working on, I recently put up, if you heard it, Plastic. uh, I was it took me 48 hours to write that short story. But what I did was, I know I'm a person who reflects a state of mind on the piece of paper. So I had to get into that uh, place where, okay, this becomes a little difficult. That is a writer version. But now I want my reader, my audience, to know the person behind the art. So I think I took your suggestion and I'm like, let's just start with these live sessions. Let's see how it goes. It is more interesting for me because I get to get out of the structure of being a writer. But just भाई हम लोग normal इंसान भी हैं. We
I
are
know normal
not.
इंसान ही है. मैं तो I
हाँ
don't even consider myself a poet or a writer. I'm just like
हाँ
somebody who writes at times. That's it. That's how
yes.
I keep it. There's no additional pressure from anyone
Madhav
else.
is like a person who sometimes like who does not write at times.
See, that is what I was saying. For me, it's really different when Mathu says all that. No, I can't connect with it in the sense that not that I cannot understand it, but since I haven't done it for myself, okay,
Hmm.
like I used to write from a very early age, but never serious. Then I started writing quotes in the middle, or maybe I wrote a paragraph or a two. But overall, I never thought about writing. I never, even when I started with this book of mine, I did not know that it would become a book. It was a quote that I liked. I liked it very much. There's a poem called Shame in I think that's the 29th, or I think yeah, that's the 29th poem in the book. So I was writing that poem or that quote, the first two sentences, and then I liked that quote so much that I made it into a poem. And then once I made it into a poem, I started writing other poems. It just came so naturally to me, like somebody was holding my hand and asking me to write it down. Normally, it does not happen with me. I mean, unless and until whenever I write, I have a feeling from inside that I want to write. You understand? Like, I can't think that I'll write a novel and then write a novel. I can't do it like that. It comes to me really naturally. I don't know how it comes. Maybe when I'm too
Hmm.
fed up, maybe when I'm too tired from things,
You want
from
to release.
exactly, yeah. When I want to release, I start writing. When it's too, it's like stock. It's like a stockpile of emotions and feelings and memories and everything. Then I start to write. That is how it happens with me. But not that I can think and then write. That is a little difficult. It's either
Hmm.
natural or I can't write. I mean, I will write, but I don't think that'll be as good as when I write naturally
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
without
So
any. Like
it
this
is
book I
very.
completed in 2 months, and I wrote
Hmm.
more than 40 poems, which out of 31 we shortlisted after that. तो वो आता गया मैं एक दिन में तीन भी लिख देता था कभी. आज
Hmm.
I can't write 3 poems in a day because
And you know what? I mean, I've read Yavar's work, and I
Hmm.
never felt that the poems had any kind of repetitiveness. You
Hmm.
know, all 31, 32 of them, they were different. I mean, ऐसा होता नहीं कि आपको लगता है यार, ओ यार ये तो मैंने उस पोएम में पढ़ लिया, उसमें तो मुझे ऐसा कहीं लगा नहीं, because they had a very different take, they have a very different view of what they're talking about, a different message, a different feeling to it. So, I mean, that is why I have been so insistent towards Yawar that you have to put in some time in marketing and do your poems are going to rock. I really think so. They have a very strong sense of philosophy, strong sense of emotion, and a lot of depth. New age writers don't have that. New age poets necessarily do not have that all the time, and so we have to address that aspect here today with Mathu. So I did the same thing with Mathu, right? Mathu is kind of a Mathu. Mathu has grown from a bad boy personality to a flamboyant one, right? So so what I'm trying to say is that so we started this with a one session, right? One very normal objective less kind of a session, and then I told Mathu to do this more often, and he's investing an hour or so every day on Instagram, right? I'm not saying that this is going to convert into people who are going to buy you, but this is definitely going to convert into people who know you. And from people who know you, so let's say if today 100 people know you, 10 will buy the book, right? You start investing time with the people that that you think should know you, right? Tomorrow 1,000 will know you and 100 will buy, right?
that's how the
So
change
that's how
happens.
you have to adapt yourself as well towards the people you think will buy your book or who want to read your book. Now, I think that there's a very good audience for Yavar's work, right? But I don't think that Yavar has put enough towards connecting with that kind of audience, right? that's also one reason I wanted to bring Matuf in this, because he's seen that happen to him over the last 2 months or so, right? Maybe he can share what he thinks about it, what is working, what is not. And I don't think it's too much, when you write one book, it's a part of your life that will stay with you forever.
Hmm.
People will leave, but your achievement that you've written a book will never leave you. बीवी छोड़ के जा सकती है, that way. Your girlfriends, your family, anybody can sort of go away from you, but your achievement that you've written a book and you have booked your name or any sort of accomplishment will always stay with you. So the least you can do is put an extra hour there for it to flourish, right? So that is also one aspect we need to address in today's call, to try and understand how we as a team sort of should be able to do this better and help. Like Mathuk is already there. I mean, he's not already there. His books are yet to come out, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be much better. Because I remember when Mathuk sent me his second book, sorry, I read the first page and I'm like, dude, we have to publish this. And that page is not there in the book now, right? It does not practically exist. It's a very different book, but it's still there, and it's much better, right? So that's how you grow. It doesn't matter whether you write your second book today or not, but if people start loving you, right, people start recognizing what you do as a poet, right, what your poems are about, then this thing is going to happen to you more often. You will feel like writing more. Ideas will come to you naturally, right? So you need to get there in like a phased manner, कि आज हम इतना कर रहे हैं, कल हमें इतना करना है, परसों में उतना ज्यादा करना पड़ेगा, that way. But if you don't have that ambition, then it's a totally different story. A lot of people are there who just want to get their book out there, and they're not really interested towards connecting with people. But if you're not, because today's reader is very smart, right? And with the whole ease of connectivity and so much options available through social media, everybody wants to personalize the experience. So if I am a Yawar fan, right? If I love Yawar's poetry, I need to know where Yawar is, what he's doing, what's his next writing about, how does he get his thoughts about writing poems. I think that is what happened with Matuf. Over time, you started sharing thoughts, you started sharing your stories. Now you have people coming in to join you in your chat. You have people inviting you to share your thoughts. That's how you become the bigger public image that you have always wanted to be, or you were before, right? So same
Hmm.
thing goes for you, because your audience is out there. You don't have to,
Hmm.
uh, you know, for your poetry. I, I as a reader, I know that I like your poetry, so there are thousands like me who will love it. So we just have to make sure that they also know who Yawar is, right? That's why, if you remember, we were discussing about whether you should have your name or your pen name or not,
Yeah, I
right?
wanted to
So
get a
I
pen
told
name.
you, because pen name is not going to work, because people
Nobody
don't
knows
want the pen name. People want the real face,
Hmm.
right? And you're one poet. There are 10,000 other poets like you, but not all 10,000 of them are as good.
that. I won't
Claiming
comment
is a
on that.
different aspect, but I'm pretty sure now 9,000 of them are probably better than you at telling people that I've written this. Now I know it's not a regular thing. I know it might not be natural to you, or I know this might not be something that you believe in. But you have to do this for your readers, for your buyers, for your book, for your poems. Right? That's important. Again, I'm saying this again. I think the same thing happened with Madhu. We started something, and I think Madhu has sort of really picked it up. It has become like a craft, right? ये माधु की स्किल हो गई है अब.
I think you I was like, I had to push myself to go for that first live. And when I actually pushed myself for that live, my hair, I have never been in front of the camera like this, okay? My hair was all a mess. And I'm like,
This is
oh
my
shit,
first time.
my toe. Huh?
This is my
So
first time doing this.
Yawar can't do it.
it becomes fun after a while because my
Yeah.
hair was like that and I'm wearing a cap while I'm at live. There are about 7 viewers over there. I'm getting so uncomfortable. I was like 30 मिनट मुझे लाइव रहना है कुछ ना कुछ अनाप शनाप बकवास करूंगा. I need to be here for 30 minutes. Now, uh, I started doing this during the lockdown.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was not interacting with anybody. So it became a release for me.
Acha, वैसे
And then,
just sorry to interrupt you. Where do we see how many people have joined?
I don't think so. We see here because this is a locked room now,
hmm,
and we will get the viewership once we've posted this on the PepperScript page. Even I'm doing this Facebook room thing for the first time. I haven't done it before ever. We've always done Instagram Live or Google Meets or Zoom, something like
I
that.
thought it was like Google Meet. So sent a link to a few people, dude, asking them
No,
to
no,
join.
Yeah.
this is
So if few people had joined, it would be fine. But I wasn't sure myself entirely how this works because this is my first time also. But I
Hmm.
think they will be able to see the live broadcast. But I'm not sure, if they can join in now. I think Andy was
It's a
able to
lock.
join. Yeah, but then he left and our room is locked down. Nobody can join.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I for 3 months I disappeared to Udaipur, and that's when I understood this thing, how important this engagement is. देखो, what people have become smarter about is that they know that whatever the writer is creating, there's a major part of the writer in the story. Okay. And now by the intensity at which I write stuff, and it becomes a little difficult to disassociate that image from the image of the protagonist that I've created. I am promoting myself as a human being first, because remember meeting a musician. He's pretty good, big in terms of the indie scene. So now I met him, and I did not hear any song of his, not a single song. I met him, spent about 2.5, 3 days with him, and then I heard him perform live. I was the fan of the human being first before I became fan of the music. So, I mean, it's generally the other way around, but this turned out to be something unbelievable for me. I'm like, why can't I implement this in my life? So, I started doing exactly just that, because see, we writers are, I, I will generalize this thing. We writers love attention. जैसे ना कैसे मिले, we
I think
want
not
it,
necessarily.
No, so I
because
think I'll break down what Madhu is saying. Writers don't care about attention until they're not getting it. Once they get it,
they start
then
getting
you love attention,
exactly.
right? So
Maybe.
so that is how it works. I mean, it starts with everybody. If you're a writer, you say I'm doing it for the love of love of writing, love of books, love of stories. I don't care about it. That's fine, man. I mean, that is how it is. It is true. Writers are genuine about that. But once your writing gets noticed, your books are recognized, people actually start appreciating you for what you've done. You like the attention. You want it more. That's why you
Exactly.
want to write another book, right? That's
And
also one aspect to it because people are probably waiting for it. If not waiting, then yaar, कि हाँ, with one book I have made so many people happy, or I've made so many people fall in love with me. With other book, maybe I can do so many more, right? So
yes,
that is what I think Matuf means,
and
correct?
it is also in a manner where the attitude that I started off writing. You have seen me at that point, like I do not care about what anybody's thinking about what I have to put across. It was just a double birth salute every time I'm putting out something across to a certain person. And then I got introduced to the poetry telling scene, the storytelling scene, where I started meeting fellow writers, and they were giving me the attention. And a person like me who has always been away from an audience, that attention was like a drug. Anyway, because I was like finally feeling accepted for my art in a circle, and the idea of not wanting the attention was coming to terms with the fact that, ki, dude, कोई भाव नहीं दे रहा है, I was going to maintain this attitude now. But now it comes with this point that it becomes fun, where you in a day, I try to remove at least an hour and a half to engage with my audience. And मेरी कहानियां तो होने वाली है. My stories are going to be coming out. Though the novels are going to be a very different thing. But to have fun with the audience, I write things for them. Where I mean, I think one of the big changes that I did in my on my Instagram handle was that I stopped putting up long pieces, writing long pieces. I started narrating them, and I am getting a positive response of that because and these narrations are not going up to 10 minutes. They are going from anywhere between 2 minutes to 6 minutes, and more than the audience, more than the reader or the person who is listening to this, I am having fun because that entire process of 6 minutes is fun for me. And I'm just having celebrating that process with another person. And it is not the primary driving force, but it is a force which keeps me motivated to, you know what, let's try out something else. Like I was narrating Ephialtes. You know of Ephialtes, and
Yeah.
I modified that short story into something unbelievable.
Mm.
I'm putting it out for free. I'm putting
Yeah.
it out for free just because I was narrating that piece, and there was this one lady, and I was a Zoom call में 25 लोग थे, and her screen was right here at the icon, and my Microsoft document was open here. I was basically narrating the piece to her, looking at the transition of that woman's expressions, how from a very mellow it reached a point of absolutely being thrilled and then coming down. It within 5 minutes, if my words could have an impact on a person just like that, I am going to do that as much as I can because the transition in the expression of the person, it just gave me more motivation. You know what? I want to put out stuff like this because at the end of it, yes, the expression is for us. It is the stories are keeping us together. It is your poetry in your case, story in my case. In a way, also you're putting across a story in a very poetic manner. However you're expressing, it is for us. It is our survival At least for me, it is my survival mechanism. I cannot go on a day without writing for 4 hours. My day is, I'm still stuck to that 4 hours at the least. I need to write, and then it is a celebration. I try to celebrate it with the reader and an audience. So I think that is where the engagement comes. And did you hear the Dear Tara wala piece?
Yeah. I did.
So uh, you know my voice, my voice tone is a little harsh, and that girl who narrated it, it was a very soft voice. She's a
Yeah.
singer.
Yeah.
And that letter is by far one of the most important letters for me, which goes on to be me being a writer, because
Mm.
that's where the journey began.
Right.
And I was still innocent back then. I did not have this rationality or a smarter way of storytelling.
Mm.
I wanted somebody with a voice as soft and beautiful as that girl's to
Mm.
narrate that piece because that was my state of mind at that time. So
Mm.
I got her on board, and she was more than happy to do this. And this happened. And how I met that girl was because she sang a song at this one event, another live session of another page. That's where I saw her, and that's where I interacted with her. And then she would send me she started sending me these audio clips, and I started sending her audio clips. And I'm like, really want you to do this. And this happened because she was engaging, and I am probably about 8 or 9 years older to her, but this girl is a beautiful singer. I wouldn't have known her talent if she wouldn't have put herself out there. So that is how this engagement thing works. I mean, you understand the model better. Of course, I do not understand the social media model at all. But what I understand is that अगर मुझे, of course, the views have gone down. But what I know is that there are 25 to 30 people who are constantly being hooked on to every piece that I'm putting on. And I am catching those 25 to 30 people, making sure that every time I put out a new audio clip or a certain piece, I send it across to these guys. Because I have started saying this very often that art is not going to change the world, but art is going to make this life worth living.
Right.
And that is me trying to bring out something very different, which keeps other people away from anything that is happening around. Because कभी वो 2 से 6 मिनट आप हो उस पीस में आप मेरे साथ हो. And after those 6 minutes, you can go ahead, think about the piece if you want to or not. But those 2 to 6 minutes, that is with me. And I'm going to make sure you are hooked into those 2 to 6 minutes.
Right. Good one. Yeah. Good.
So
Like
that is
enthusiasm.
the fun part of it. And this thing, if you would have told me to do a year ago, I'll be like, Sanchit, dar raha hai? Why do you want? I would be so restless. I'd be like, dude, मेरे को नहीं
I
आना
know.
कैसे?
I know.
Dude,
I know.
why? He's like, जो मेरा फोटो यूज कर रहा है ना संचित, वो
हाँ.
फोटो जनवरी 2019 का है.
नहीं
Okay.
यार, उससे भी पहले का है.
Okay. I don't know. I think 2000 January
जनवरी
2000.
2019 का फोटो तो वो वाला है यार, बुक फेयर वाला. दिस फोटो इज फ्रॉम 2013, 14, 15 maybe. The one that has been used for this one.
Okay, whatever. बहुत पुराना फोटो है. He tells me like माधु सेल्फी लेके भेज. I'm like, bro, मुझे सेल्फी खींचे नहीं जाता है. I cannot click a picture like that, and I feel awkward asking somebody to click a picture of me. So that
No,
is
but I
how.
think everything said, I think Mathu has put it out there very, very well. It is also very important to build confidence. It helps you build so much confidence, man. Getting out there in the camera, where you have like what, two, three people watching you, and you have like 3,000 followers on Instagram, but like 0.1% are actually seeing. It helps you build a lot of confidence. If you can take it right, if you can be positive about it, it builds a lot of confidence, and you start believing in your work as well. So I think that's just something for Yawar as of now. Yawar,
Even
maybe you can,
the responses that come in between, the
yeah.
responses the people started giving me after that, it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't matter to me how many viewers are there. I'm there for 45 minutes to an hour. I need to say my piece and I'm going to bounce.
Hmm.
Because again, it is my expression first.
Hmm.
It is me being relieved, because वो जो clutter of thought रहता है ना, वो एक साथ release हो जाता है, so that I go to bed not worrying about anything else.
Hmm.
And now from the audience, the response that I'm getting is that it is really intriguing to know that an artist is coming out there and talking candidly about their art, about the process of creating. Because, see, in all rationality, I do not know for how long I'm going to keep doing this, but I know that I'm doing this right now. And if even if somebody gets to take back, even if that one person who sticks from the start till the end of that live session जो 1 घंटे का रहता है Instagram पे, वो इतना बेवकूफ तो नहीं हो सकता है इंसान जो पूरा बस he
एक
is not
घंटा
going
उड़ा
to
देगा.
1 घंटे में वो
सब
5.
ऐसे कितना टाइम स्टोरीज देखते हुए निकाल देते हैं. I think
And
it might amount to more than 3 hours, 4 hours.
even if the person takes 5 minutes to even if the person is listening to that thing for 5 minutes, I make it sure that the person gets something or the other in those 5 minutes. So it just about how what you seem is okay for you. वो मेरा rant session बन गया था एक time पे. मैं जाता था rant करने. like मैं तो there's this one
And I had called you and said, bro, you got to sort of give this some direction. कुछ भी बोलना नहीं होता है. Remember you were on the terrace and we were having that chat. I told you, bro, you're doing good, but you got to give some voice to your words. Don't just say anything.
Yeah, sometimes it's like a cluster of emotions together
Yeah,
flowing
yeah.
like a whirlpool. You don't know which emotion is going where. It's all so mixed up. I understand that.
Yeah, why don't you read something from your book? Yeah, let's all sort of hear it.
Yeah, I will read something. Just give me a sec. I'll also show you, my the the raw form of the book when I started with it. I don't know whether I've kept it. Just give me a second. Yeah.
You both your authors are walking right now. We both are going and getting
Yeah,
our books.
and the publisher sitting.
You don't always keep them with you, and you don't even remember. मेरा तो ये हाल है memory का that I don't even remember something from yesterday.
Dude, does it happen with you with your writing as well? That you have written a certain quote and you've completely forgotten the verbatim words that you've written to it. Does it happen with you as
You
well?
know what happens with me? When I write something and then I reread it again, let's say after a month or 2 months, I just get I just completely forget what I thought at that point of time. I give a new meaning to it every time I read it. Which one should I read? Hmm. See, uh, a poem I wrote about. It's a conversation of me and my soul. I think it's abstract. I really like that poem. Okay. No, it's Harvest Sun 54.
That would be a little loud, okay?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so it's a poem called Harvest Sun. I think it's in the second last chapter of my book. Yeah. This is my voice audible to you, Sanchit? Can
Yeah. I got a book here, see?
Yeah, I've got it too.
Yeah, cool, man.
But people really like the cover of this book, We put in a lot of
They do?
effort. Yeah, they
Okay.
do. They've
That's
told
good.
me like the cover is really nice. So it's a conversation with me and my soul, and I have put it deliberately in this section. So my book is basically, you guys know, obviously, but to whoever is listening, it's basically put into 5 chapters or 5 phases. The first one is the dream, which talks about the innocence of a person. The second one is the harsh reality, what I see in this world or what anybody sees. Then the third chapter is what happens to me when I get through those emotions. So that I've written as the life inside. That's the third chapter. And then the fourth chapter is the awakening, that I finally realize, oh, okay, this and this is happening, and what should I do? And then the final is the answer. So this is from the fourth chapter, the awakening. So I'll just start reading it. So it's first me talking to my soul, okay, and then my soul replies. Sanchit is like, it's on page
No,
54,
it's
I
on
think.
page. I'm just seeing the chapter. I think you're taking the wrong chapter. It's in Life Inside.
Maybe let me just check.
I'm just checking the chapter name. But yeah, it doesn't matter. You can, probably start.
Yeah, it's the life inside. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So I start with myself talking to my soul. Hold your tongue, you're not so young. What are you crying for? Are your songs not sung? I muster this audacity and adjure you to stop this inanity. This is the time to step out of your vanity and please, my dear, come back to sanity. Then my soul replies, there is no way, said the voice. It is not as if I have a choice. The world is tough and its people egocentric. That is precisely why I revel in being eccentric. Then I again talk to my soul. But then again, that won't suffice. You must work to earn your rice. Be that now or be that then, 5 and 5 only makes 10. Then my soul replies back, 10 it is, I do not know why, for I'm not sure, for I'm not the one who wears a tie. I stretch the rubber, and after a point it sure does break. My feelings, my relevance, and so much it takes. Then I, you know, reply again. Therefore, let it be what breaks does break. Relieve yourself from this chronic ache. Now is the time to rake the evil out of your sight and give yourself your promised right. Then the soul replies, they say charity begins at home, yet there is why I see a big black tome. The tome it hath eyes, the tome it possesses sight. I tell you early on, it's not an easy fight. For when I was flying my first kite, it went low to my surprise. And in the darkness, I thought it was a strange town. Stranger now when you have to remove your own crown. Then I reply, oh, if it's that case to be, take a step and you will see. The optimistic morning will come, and with it the erasure of the iniquitous sun. And then you will all be aglow in cheers. Are you the one who always cares? Then the soul replied, my final answer to you is that it's not a game of chase and run. And I'll do what needs to be done when the time is right on the harvest sun. There's a reason why I put harvest here. So harvest is when at least with my idea, I think it's a good thing, right? It's a happy, it's like a, and I think in old times it used to be celebrated like a festival, right? So
When the harvest happens in the, in the farm or whatever. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I'd always I always talk to my soul. It's like an inner voice that's coming, and you always search for relevance, or you always search for what's right and what's wrong. Somewhere in your life you do, and there is a fight between you and your soul because you want to do one thing, your heart wants to do another thing, and then you talk. Okay, so it's like that, and then you tell your soul basically that, okay, or your soul tells you that I know what I have to do. Okay, but you don't need to tell me. But what I hear, whatever inputs I get from the outside, I try to feed them to my soul. Okay, like somebody told me that, all of that, it's like an outer face and an inner face. So in Urdu we call it zahir and batin. Zahir is what appears to you and batin is what's inside. So it's like my inside wants to do something else. My um, whatever I see or whatever I hear, whatever my experiences are, they tell a different story. So it's basically a conversation of the sorts that my self is asking my soul to become something it's not, and then my soul is replying in itself that I will do whatever I want. Okay, and I know when to do it. Uh, it's like that. So why this happens and why I've put it in life inside now, as you correctly said, it's the third chapter. That's the life inside, not the awakening, because it is happening to me. Okay, that is why I have put it in this chapter. It could also have been put in the fourth chapter, awakening, but specifically it was like it related more to the third one because that is what is happening to me. My mind is saying something else, my soul is saying something else, my experiences are telling me a different story, my soul is with a different era or is living in a different era, is with a different background altogether, and they cannot adjust, right? That is the problem, and it's a very deep thought in the sense that people who realize they have a soul, actually, a lot of times we forget we have a soul. We become so superficial in because of this world, because of the environment we are living in, because of the social pressures or whatever, that prevails, and we become so blind at times that we don't know what's right and wrong. For us, everything is wrong, everything is right, but there has to be a line. between you, or in between your soul and that thing that you're doing, between what is right and wrong for you. So
See,
that is how
that's
it's.
the, I think that's the beauty of Yao's poetry, that he's made it simple, yet it has such deep meaning. It's not like, if I'm reading it for the first time, I won't get it. I will
Hmm.
get it. It will also make me think harder and go inside myself and try and see what the poet is talking about or the poem says, and does it, do I also feel the same way, right? So if it's not even 100% of the lines are exactly relatable to you, but you will see that, like 50%, 40% of them are, right? So I think that's true with all his poems. It's
No,
not
especially this
it's not
part,
overcomplicated, but it's very deep.
why it is better, why it seems better than not being in the chapter of awakening, because
Yeah,
it is that conflict with the
yeah.
soul.
Yeah,
It
It's
is that
inside. It's really inside. Yeah,
it is that constant battle, and in the middle of that particular storm of thoughts, which you need to confront before you get out of that threshold to find that calmness which happens during the awakening.
right,
yeah.
right.
And
Even
the harvest, the harvest sun. What I when I heard that, it just brought a smile on my face, because for me, a harvest is a new beginning, and it is not the end of a chapter.
right.
So,
Yeah.
because
Very
you
positive
have,
side, right?
yes, and that is how I see it. So just imagine, you put out a poetry, you just read your piece right now, you just recited your poetry, and you are giving the story behind it. So that is a complete structure for me as a viewer. That's what makes me go like, damn, this is
This means
perfect.
something. This means something.
This uh, because first you allowed me to build a perception of your poetry, and then I got your perception of it. And once I drew the line, I mean, once I got those two pieces together, I get to take back something entirely different, because that is the conversation you've had with me. And
Correct.
yeah, and I think Sanchit would be proud of me to say, proud with me to say something like that.
See, the thing is, I
I
don't
think you
want to
caught
tell
my.
people what everything.
Oh, he pointed out the right time, huh? Beautiful
Basically,
conclusion.
the thing,
Yeah,
I don't want them to, I don't want to give them my narrative.
It's
I
the
want
mystery.
them,
You want the mystery to be
I
there.
want them to have a narrative of their own and then tell me, okay, what is this, what have you written like that? But I think we all have a perception, we all have a thinking, we all strive towards something, and that is how we connect with everything, right?
True.
That is how we connect with poetry. That is how we connect with ourselves. That is how we rationalize ourselves, right? And
True.
because कभी कभार हम ये भी सोचते हैं कि भाई मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ. कभी कभार के मैं बहुत बार सोचता हूँ that
हर
okay.
दिन हर दिन हर No,
See,
I'm having a bite of sabudana khichdi. I'm like, क्या कर रहा हूँ? Life में sabudana khichdi खा रहा हूँ.
so we're all thinking at some point of time that whatever we're doing, we're just trying to validate our lives, right? We all do that. Some people don't, but I think those people are really happy because they live in complete bliss. They don't know, okay, fuck, life is like that, and sorry for the cuss words there, they just come out naturally. So uh, they they think that life is as it is, and we have to live as it is, and they don't have उनको कोई गमो फिक्र नहीं है. But I think we guys are the opposites of that. We try to find the relevance. So if I was born, why was I born? If I'm doing this, why am I doing this? What would I do in life? Why was I born here? Why was I not an insect? Why was I not, in some other
The
galaxy?
grander purpose of things.
Yeah. So, you cannot pen down all of those thoughts. But the thing is that,
only a poet like Yawar can sort of ask these questions on a live stream, and that's why you need to do this more often, bro.
yeah, we need to. I think it's good. I think we should do it more, but let's do it on Insta. I think I have a lot of people there. I don't use
Yeah.
Facebook much.
I think Madhu, so on Insta, I think there can only be two people, right?
No,
Yep,
I think that three, two.
two. Only two people.
Maximum of two people are allowed. So that's why we didn't do this on Insta. Otherwise, we would have. But I think this was a great conversation. I think uh, there were a lot of things that we said. I think Yawar is going to take back a lot. I think Matu will appreciate poetry a lot more. I'm not saying you don't. You already do, but I'm just saying you will have something else to think about.
I have it. I've come down to this point where I've called it a truce of with many things. First was with Murakami, I called it a truce. Second is I've called it a truce with spoken word because at first I used to wonder what is this thing. I mean, it was one of those things, but then now I have got to this really sudden fascination कि इतने छोटे में कैसे बयान कर देते हैं ये सब अपने एक्सप्रेशन मुझसे नहीं होता है I'd like to take time. I like to anything.
But I'll tell you one thing here. A poet cannot always be a revealer in the sense
Mhm.
that he'll not outrightly explain himself because that is why he's a poet, right?
That's a
He
mystery out
wants
of it,
to,
right?
yeah, he does not want people to understand or hear his side of the story. He wants people to, connect with their stories, not ask the poet why he wrote that, but try to find the relevance of his poetry or her poetry in their lives. I would never want people to, because then they'd start judging me. It's very obvious.
Hmm.
That's human nature. We all judge,
It
or
goes
at
it
least we all
goes
analyze.
it goes
At least,
very opposite. In my case, it goes so opposite that I cannot be the mysterious guy anymore because sometimes I like people to know that the writer is very different and the human is very different because that is the structure that I am building with my thing, and I completely understand what you're trying to say. Completely understand the
I
level
think
of.
I think both. So I think this is something very important that Yawar has pointed out, and you as well are following up with. So a poet with his poem probably doesn't want to explain the meaning. He wants to just let it be out there and let people figure it out. While the writer's only objective is to make sure that the reader is getting what the story is all about, where it is
Exactly.
going, how it's going to end, what's the meaning of every dialogue or every scene. So I think that's a huge difference that we have sort of extracted from this conversation.
I
Hmm.
would I would like to add one more thing, Sanchit. There, I would like to add one more thing. Maybe that's because Matuf he wants to take his reader to a place where he wants to explain a certain thing to him that finds meaning to the story. Otherwise, right, there's no point going to the story because that is how he has written the story. But a poetry, it's like a rubber. You can stretch it from
Hmm.
anywhere. It's stretched, right? Unless and until the elastic limit is not crossed and it's not, it doesn't break. You can stretch it from any point, but you cannot make life death and death life. That is what I'm saying.
Correct. Absolutely.
They're two,
Absolutely.
they're two different things.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Lovely.
you can say enhanced life, not so enhanced life, and a dull life. Okay,
Yeah.
that is how you cannot say no life or only death. That is what I'm saying.
Hmm.
We should do something interesting with you guys. I mean, maybe like like a I think we guys should plan something like a jam session, with your lines coming in followed by Java's followed by yours, like a jugalbandi kind of thing. And we should create a piece of writing that we will sort of share with our readers, and probably even give it out as a, I don't know, just random thoughts. Give it out as a like a bookmark, postcard, or something. You know, we could do that if you guys are open for it. We can plan something like that. It'll be very interesting.
I'm currently at a spot. You tell me to do anything, I'm open for it because everything is exciting me so much lately.
Yeah.
That is precisely the reason why I hate being sober because
Yeah.
because I'm so excited about things
Yeah.
and
Great. Yeah, I think we'll plan something. I will sit with my team and see what ideas we can come up with. I will discuss with you guys as well, and maybe we'll give it some time. And this will be very interesting. I'm thinking of something like a Jugalbandi piece in which the first is a part of a story followed by a set of lines which are poem, which are like in form of poetry, and still building like a full storyline. And we take it through a whole length. We'll see how it goes, right?
This sounds very interesting, dude.
Uh,
Very interesting.
like you want
I just hope,
poetry to be
yeah.
coincide with the lines, somehow coincide, correlate
Sorry,
somehow.
what? I couldn't hear that.
Do you want the poetry to like coincide with the lines or like
Yeah, it's like how it's like how prompts work. So maybe Matuf can put a prompt out there, say like 5 lines, right? And he will send it to you, and then you can continue the same story but in your style, and you will put another 5 lines, and then Matuf will put another 5 lines, and we'll see where it ends, how it goes, because you both are very different. You will have different storylines, you will have different thinking, you'll have different style of writing, and then we'll see how it comes out, how readable it is, whether it's giving a meaning or not, whether does it have life or not. It'll be an interesting thing to sort of create. It'll be first time in history of literature, right?
I, I
So
was about to show you this. See, this is all the rough content that I've written. I always write, on
Wow.
paper. I like
man,
writing on paper.
beautiful. Yeah,
So these are all
keep
poems.
this safe. Keep this
Yeah.
safe. When you become like a huge poet, this will sell for millions.
I don't
Inshallah.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll become a poet or not.
I'm just saying, yeah. I'm sure you will.
But
If not a great poet, you will become something when people know that you're a poet. I think that matters.
see, like Mathu said, if only, like one or two people read my work and they understand it for what I've written it, whether they're through their thinking or mine, I think that's enough for me.
I
Like
think you have
that
always
way.
said that. You've always said that, and always sort of put a comma and added that, I don't think one or two people are going to read it. I think many are going to read it because what you've written is actually
It's
good. Although you've heard one poem. What do you think?
Like I said, it was very relatable because of the conflict. The
Conflict of the soul and the body, right, of the
you
person. Yeah,
so that noises, that short story that I wrote, which I sent it across to you,
yeah,
which I was
yeah.
giving you for a
Right now I can't recall, but yeah, I remember the title. Yeah,
the one which we had discussed, and I removed these noises in my head.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so,
Uh-huh.
I can completely relate to that because there are various versions
Hmm,
of me throughout the day. One is a
hmm,
version that you see right now,
hmm.
and the other version is the one who is sitting in front of the laptop screen and
Yeah,
sitting down to write,
right.
where uh, I am the most dangerous version of myself at that time.
Hmm,
And not when I'm editing, but when I'm creating something new.
hmm,
And when I'm disturbed in that version, I am a very bad person. I am a very bad person at that time. So that is when I am at one with my soul, and my past and my now is together at that spot, and I'm battling, and I'm putting it down on paper. So that conflict between the soul and the mind and the body is where I live in for about 3 hours every day. So
I've read so much of your work. I've heard so many stories, but I think I have, I strongly think that one of your best has always been the semicolon. I don't seem to sort of get away from it. I think that was a piece, that was a masterpiece. It deserved much more. I don't know if you can make it work, but I think semicolon
that
has a
was
lot
in
of strength.
2000, that was in 2017, and yeah, 2016, 2017 actually, and I am going to get back to that because
It
and
had a
I'm
lot of
not,
strength.
and for
It had
that,
strength, it had a lot of character. It had a lot of minimalism to it, and if you can build something out of it, it'll be great. And with Yawar, I think one of my favorite poems is Surroundings, right? In the harsh reality, and
Yeah.
another poem that I really like in the book is this one. Feather.
Feather is something I,
Yeah,
I
it's
Feather is a
it's 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 beautiful. Yeah, I mean, it's very soft. Surrounding is very harsh. They're in very two different spaces. But yeah, so I think guys, we have gone a little over time, but that's okay. I think that's what abstract talking and literature is all about. Writing is all about going overboard. Uh, but this is a great conversation. I hope we can get back to what we discussed and try something really cool to share with your readers and our audiences. Thank you so much for coming out here. Anything at the end you want to say before we sort of conclude this? Matuf,
Thank you for having me and all the best, Yawar. I mean, inshallah, you are. I don't need to say it, but I will say it. Your art matters. As because I understand the artist thoda sa before approaching the art, so that is always fun for me. So I'm inshallah going to read your book, and yes, keep expressing yourself, bro.
Yawar,
I
anything you have to say?
See, I'd say art is a form of expression. So no matter how it's expressed, until it's expressed, it's great. And I think I really wish good for you, Sanchit, that you become a really great publisher, and Matuf,
Thank you, man.
and I want
I
you to
think
become a really good
your
novelist.
it's the books that are written by you guys that make publishers like us great. It's just about I think for me it's about the belief. Yeah, I mean we publish so many writers, so many authors, but there are few that I strongly believe in. I remember when we met Mathu for the first time in Connaught Place, right? I told Mathu, I think you're a damn good writer, bro, but you will need three books to
Hmm.
let the world know that Mathu is you.
You know,
See, what I've
Yawar, I would.
understood is that
I,
yeah, writing a book is one thing, and selling a book is another.
It's a very
See,
different thing. It's a very
writing is
different.
very personal. Selling is like you're putting it out on the road, throwing your emotions on the road. Okay, please buy my emotions. But that is why I don't like the idea of, like, I'd be really frank here. I haven't like gone across I have told people, but the people who I know will value it.
hmm.
Okay, I haven't said this to everybody, or I haven't, gruntled anybody or everybody, so that they might stop everything and start to take copies of my book. But well, that's another approach. That's really personal. I don't know if other people do that. So, but I don't like to like get into somebody's life and ask him to out
Hmm.
of nowhere buy a book of yours. If he or she wants to do it, it's another thing.
If the
But
person's intrigued, they will get it. If the person is
yeah, and
fascinated, they will get it. The one of the
yes,
most
yes.
important things that I must say this, and I think I say this to Sanchit very often. Every time we guys are face to face, or we are having a one of those conversations where I'm having a breakdown, and I'm like, see, the first person I give a call to, I mean, one of those really, I'm like, dude, don't be the publisher, just talk to me right now, okay? So what is very important is my book came out in 2017, okay, and now it's been 2020. Having a publisher who's patient with you is by far one of the best things that can happen to a writer. And I will say this why, because 2.5 साल तक मैंने ड्राफ्ट तक नहीं भेजा था मैंने संचित को. And this guy was like, dude, you write you to like I having a publisher who believes in your work is half the job done. Is like half the work done, because you do not have to worry about publishing it. You just need to focus on the story. I The final draft of the upcoming book got done. The next day I started writing a new book, not caring about what happens next with the book, because now is this guy who's going to make sure that it gets the audience it deserves. जब भी किताब निकले, I mean, even if it comes out by the end of the year or the first quarter of 2021, सही टाइम पे निकलेगी, and it is going to be the most appropriate time for the book to come out.
It's
So
important for the author also to have belief. Yeah. So Mathu, thank you. Yeah. It means a lot to me. I hope we can build those relationships with all our authors. बहुत मुश्किल होता है, but we always try. I always try. बाकी तो जो हो रहा है वो तो होएगा ही यार. I think that I cannot control everything, but I can have faith. I can believe in the right thing and the right people. So that will make all the difference. So yeah, I think that's about it, guys. Thank you so much, yeah, for coming
Thank you, Sanchit. Thank you, Mathu.
conversation. And I hope we can have a lot more of these and let people know that these two amazing writers are out there, right?
Thank
Yes.
you, Sanchit.
Chalo. All right, man. Thank you. I'm going to be ending this now.
Take care.
See you.
Sure.
Bye. Have a good Sunday, man. Bye.
You guys too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.